For
But
taking
yeah,
time to talk to me today. I'm super excited for your band. I am obviously a new fan. I just watched your video for your new single last night, which I just loved. So tell me a little bit about the birth of Stellar Circuits, how you guys came to be a band, what you were doing before, kind of how this all came about.
awesome. So I haven't been in the band since the beginning. I joined a couple of years ago now, November of 16, when they had kind of just started putting ideas together for this new album, Ways We Haunt. And of course they had put out that EP beforehand, and my friend, he sent me the Penny Dreadful music video, just kind of saying, "Hey, these guys live in Winston, which is like 30 minutes from you. I lived in Greensboro at the time." And he said, "These guys are really cool. You should check them out." And I checked them out, and I liked the song enough to listen to it again, which was pretty amazing. Like, especially for it to be this local band. I hadn't really heard of them before I heard that song. I loved it so much, and apparently they were looking for a guitarist, and I said, "Man, it would be beautiful if they were looking for a drummer, because this is right up my alley. This is like everything I love about music." And I checked Craigslist the next day, and there was an ad looking for a drummer. So
Oh,
everything kind of fell into place really beautifully with that. And yeah, and
you must have
it's
done
been
something
it's
right to
been
get that kind of karma.
well, it had been so long. I had been kind of I had my drums in a storage unit for a while. I would stay up until like 2 or 3 a.m. after work every day, just kind of practicing, and nothing had been panning out for a while, but it was kind of just something I knew that I had to do, and I was just kind of waiting for something to show itself, and then my friend sent that link, and a week later, I was over there trying out, and yeah, it came together super beautifully, and yeah, I'm grateful every day to be a part of it, because it's like I said, it's everything that I love about a lot of the music I listen to.
Yeah. So tell me, how would you describe Stellar Circuit's music?
So when we write, it's almost like we try and build on these feelings that we get when we're jamming together. We usually, like, one of us will lay something down, and then we'll kind of all be playing to it, and we'll kind of just stumble upon this feeling, and all of us will want to, like, create something out of that feeling, and I think a lot of us are influenced by a lot of the same music too. They introduced me to Deftones and Carnival and A Perfect Circle and a lot of bands like that have like completely changed my life since I heard them. I came into the band a huge fan of bands like Between the Buried and Me, The Contortionist, and Rush and Opeth and bands like that. And yeah, and we all kind of we seem to gel on these feelings, and it's kind of hard to explain, but we usually try and build off of those these vibes we get, and how they make us feel when we're all playing music in the same room together. I think one thing that we do a lot of the time is we kind of try and take these really mellow feelings and these really intense feelings and almost combine them, and that creates this weird kind of push and pull tension that like it really resonates with all of us. We all tend to gravitate towards this like this in between major and minor kind of feeling in music, and that push and pull is something we usually gravitate towards and try and build off of.
Yeah, and I love how you talk so much about the feeling, like the feeling, because that's what makes people who are listening on the other side to connect with the music, is how does it make us feel? What kind of feeling does it evoke? And you can just really get a lot of emotion from the songs that you guys have, whether it's lyrically or the musicality, anything in there. There's just, you're right. It really feels like that comes through in your music.
And Ben, especially, I mean, we usually kind of put a song together instrumentally before we hand it off to Ben, the vocalist, and he will just kind of, he'll sit with this music and kind of let it simmer with him, and I really admire how he writes. It comes from a really honest and raw place, and I think that comes through in the music. It's very much a part of him, and I kind of felt like a fan of the band waiting for new music when he was writing vocals, because
that's awesome.
He would just completely change the song every time he wrote his part, and I would be, whenever I heard they were finishing up, I would be like refreshing Dropbox, waiting on that new demo, feeling like this fan of the band, like waiting to hear this new song. So
that's awesome.
Yeah, Ben plays a huge part of the rawness and the emotion in the music, for sure.
That's great. So this the new album, Ways We Haunt, I mean, it does have kind of this, I don't know if I want to say paranormal, but kind of a dark kind of feel to it, even with the track listing. Did you set out to make an album like that? You know, you've got like Nocturnal Visitor and Fell Under a Spell and Go With Your Ghost, right. And did you set out to make an album that was under that theme, or did this kind of happen organically? How did this come about?
I think that whole kind of paranormal thing, and I think Ben could speak better on this, but he was, of course, the one who came up with all those titles and the lyrical themes, but I think that kind of started to take shape between the way that the music was kind of making us feel. It almost did have that dark sort of ambience a lot of the time, and like I was saying, with that push and pull and tension, and it kind of made us feel that certain way. And I know Ben at the time was really big on the first season of True Detective.
I loved that. That was the best.
Yeah, I think that was a huge inspiration for a lot of the lyrics that he wrote on this record. Was that first season. I think there was one episode where they talk about your mind being like a haunted house, and he really built upon that in the lyrics, and he does tend to kind of stray towards like the vague and ambiguous in his lyrical writing, and I think he likes that kind of element where people can interpret it however it makes them feel, and and kind of draw their own conclusions from it.
Yeah, I love that. I mean, there's a part of me, there's a logical side of my brain that says, I want to know exactly what this song means. What did he mean by this? Who's he talking to here? Like, even when I was looking at some of the lyrics, I was like, I wonder who you is in this song. And then there's another part of me that's like, let that go and just interpret it how you want to interpret it. What does it mean to you? You know? It's really, I love that.
And I think that's what ultimately he's going for. And I mean, he won't even tell me, you know, like he won't even tell us what exactly a song means. I think it really is like, it's just yeah, it's meant to be interpreted kind of the way it makes you feel. And I think the way he writes it can be interpreted in a lot of ways too, that based on kind of how the emotions that the listener brings in when they listen to the music. But
Yeah. Well, do you have a song on the new album that you connect with the most, do you think? Or that you like your drum part maybe is the best, your favorite to play or anything like that?
oh man, my favorite to play is definitely The Polar Dream. That's towards the end of the record. It's not one we'll be releasing until the record comes out, but that we actually wrote around the same time as Nocturnal Visitor, which we just released today, and there's a lot of the same feelings I think surrounding both of those songs. I always kind of put them together in the record for some reason. They're a pair to me, and they actually represent opposite ends of the story too. Oddly enough, that just kind of happened. But that song is, I think it's probably the most fun for me to play, and that and The Polar Dream and Nocturnal Visitor are probably the two that when we play live, we kind of all tune into each other and elevate to this other place more than the other songs. It kind of really yeah, we all have a ton of fun playing those two, but The Polar Dream is definitely my favorite to play. As far as my favorite to listen to, that really changes every day. I mean, we wrote the record as a collective over the course of about a year. Everything came together, and I mean, I listen to each song, and each song brings me back to when we were writing it and the different feelings surrounding those times. And yeah, I love them all in different ways because of that, because they're all nostalgic in different ways.
They're like your children.
Yeah, exactly. But I do think that towards the beginning of the writing process, before we really felt like, okay, we have an album here. Like we're actually making this big thing, this story almost. We were just so eager to kind of jump into writing, and we had this almost like unbridled like energy pushing forward and writing, and we didn't really start to dig in and kind of slow down until about halfway through the writing process. So the first songs that we wrote, I think they have a bit of a different energy than the others. I think we may have taken a more collected, like mature approach to the latter half, and the earlier half have kind of a more almost I don't know, just kind of raw, like forward feeling to them. I don't really know how to explain it, but yeah, I think that definitely comes through when I listen. But yeah, I love all of them, and I love how they all came together to create this story. We had been really tediously kind of writing each individual part for so long, and sometimes, you know, taking like a month to move forward on one song, and just really, you know, getting jaded sometimes, and it was beautiful at the end to watch it all come together and see that track listing, and somehow it became something apart from us. It shaped into this story that just kind of made itself when the track listing kind of came together, and that was probably the most rewarding moment for me towards the end of the process when that happened.
Yeah, I'm sure that was a great feeling. So you guys are doing some live tours, mostly in like North Carolina, South Carolina area. Any plans for a little bit broader tour that might bring you to, say, Ohio, where I live?
God, we would love to. This is actually our first tour.
Okay.
So we've played a lot of one-off shows up and down the East Coast and stuff, and and this will be the first time that we actually get on the road and play night to night, and I'm so excited for that because I think we actually announced the tour today, and out of 8 days we're playing 7 of them, and that's, I mean, I've never played that much music in a week before, so, or at least played that much live in a week, so I am so excited for that.
So,
and
what's one thing that you're going to take with you on the road that you just cannot live without?
Oh man, what am I going to take with me on the road? Let's see.
Besides your drums, of course.
Yeah, well, when we play these one-off shows, I've found that taking this pillow has done so much for my sanity. Like even just traveling to like Virginia Beach and back. I mean, that's like 4.5 hours each way or something. Like we're in the back of a 4Runner right now, so it's you know, it's not the most luxurious setup, but it makes it like 300% more livable if you have a pillow.
That's awesome.
So I think that's probably the one most life-saving and kind of sanity enduring thing that I'll bring on the road with me.
Good to know. Good to know. So
yeah.
I wanted to ask you about one other thing too. So on Facebook, when I was going through your Facebook page, there was this thing called Under the Surface series, and it was like a little clip. Can you tell me about that? What is that?
Yeah, so that's actually a video series. I think we're premiering it next week. Yeah, there's 5 episodes. We kind of decided for a while now we've been kind of this like image, I guess, on the internet, and more so than something people can draw a human connection to. We've kind of just been our music, and we felt like we wanted to kind of show people who listen to our music kind of who we are and how we think about our music, and give them insight into the writing process, and just kind of make them feel more connected to what we do and who we are. And we made a short 5-episode series where we talk about some of those things.
That's awesome. And they're going to be on like social media released?
Yeah, we will be releasing them on social media, YouTube. Yeah.
Okay, cool. That's very cool. I like that. I think it helps people to, know who you are. And that's why I like doing these kind of interviews too. I just find when you get to know the people that are in the band and kind of like what they go through and what they feel, it just really helps, I think, people connect with the music.
Yeah, absolutely. That's definitely happened for me. I think one thing that I always think of is back when I was like maybe 15 or 16 and I started listening to Opeth and got really into their older catalog, which I'm still a massive fan of, but I would kind of listen to it, and I had just started maybe kind of getting into like BT Bam, departing from like the like Breaking Benjamin, 3 Days Grace kind of stuff that I was into in like middle school, and screaming was weird for me. I didn't know how I felt about it. It was kind of something I tolerated because I liked everything about the music surrounding it. But I remember feeling really weird about the screaming in Opeth, and then kind of watching some live performances and watching Mikael, the front guy, watching some interviews with him and kind of seeing his personality and seeing who he is. And it's weird how that almost makes you hear the music differently. Like you understand the people who create it, and that gives you a new perspective on what it is that they do. And I think that getting an insight into kind of who he is really helped me to digest that kind of heavier screaming side of the music, and eventually it ended up growing on me. And now, like, I mean, his like his deep growls just completely blow me away every time I hear them. He's probably my favorite vocalist.
Yeah. That's
But
awesome.
yeah, like that was an initial thing for sure. It definitely helps, I think, to have that personal connection and have it kind of be more than just the music.
Absolutely. So do you have any like bucket list and like when you talk about that, it makes me think of like some of the festivals that I go to, or like I go on Shiprocked every year, which are oftentimes places that you can connect with the musicians too. Like you can meet them personally and kind of talk to them a little bit and get to know them. Do you have any kind of bucket list concerts you'd like to do, perform at, festivals you'd like to do, or a place that you'd like to perform?
Oh man, I mean, for up until I heard that Carolina Rebellion was going to be discontinued, that was definitely one of my bucket list festivals, and that was hugely disappointing because that's like one of the best rock and metal festivals in the country.
Yes, I've been a couple years. Yep.
Yeah, and I've been the last 2 years, and it's been an amazing experience. They've always had all of my favorite bands there, and the atmosphere is always amazing. And it was so disappointing when I heard they were closing that down. But I mean, I know they do. I know they do the Prague Festival in Barcelona, and that's probably bucket list. It might be a stretch for the music, at least the music we do right now, but a lot of my favorite bands play that festival, and to be in Spain too and in Barcelona would be a pretty incredible experience.
Right, there'd be pretty much nothing bad about that, I'd say.
Yeah, for sure.
Well, listen, I know that you're really a busy person, so I just want to ask you one more question. What do you want the world to know about Stellar Circuits? If there was just one thing that you could tell people, what would you want them to know?
I mean, I don't want to speak for the other guys in the band, but I know that we all have a lot to say. I think we all have a lot that we feel like we have to express somehow, and I think that through this album we kind of express this other side of ourselves that we could only express through the music, and I just can't wait for people to hear it, and I hope they connect with it like we do. I hope the raw emotion that we kind of took into writing this record translates through the music, and that people connect with that. But I'm really I'm beyond excited to share it, because this is the first album that I've been a part of writing, and it was such an adventure, and I hope that people connect with that as much as we do.
That's awesome.
And one thing that I would also want to say is that I hope that you can get out and see us at one of our shows, because I think our shows are a lot different than the record. I think that energy I was kind of talking about that we have in the room is something that doesn't always come through in a studio recording like it does in a room.
Absolutely.
And I think that it would be really important for people who love and connect with our music to come kind of share that experience with us at one of our shows. So,
I really hope I get to see you live at some point. I think that would be really phenomenal. Ways We Haunt comes out on November 9th, right?
It does, yes.
Well, I wish you guys the best. I'm super excited to hear the rest of the album, and hopefully to see you live at some point and meet you in person. And I wish you guys the best as you move forward in this crazy industry.
All right. Well, thank you so much, Kathy. It was great talking to you.
Thank you.
Yeah. All the best.
You too. Have a great day.